So you don't necessarily need an online income before you come to a place like Bangkok, Thailand, or somewhere else that's cheap in Southeast Asia. I'm going to talk about today how at 27 I quit my 9 to 5 and I moved to Bangkok without really much of a side hustle income, but just savings. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is under the topic living below your means. And the first thing in this category would be avoiding lifestyle creep. I feel like that's something that affects a lot of people. They'll get a pay raise, they'll get a lump sum of money, and then suddenly it's like, oh, I have all this extra money to spend, what can I spend it on? But if you think like that, you're always going to stay in the same position. You're always going to be confused as to why you have $20 left after paying all your bills and doing all your expenses. So my number one advice for this topic is you have to keep living how you're living if you actually want to save real money. So for example, you start making, start a job, you start making $60,000 a year and you live a certain way and you have a bit of savings at the end of the month. If you get promoted to 80, 90,000, live exactly the same way. I'm not saying don't treat yourself occasionally, but just don't inflate everything in every category of spending, because you're just going to stay paycheck to paycheck if you do that. Another thing under living below your means is purchasing things either on sale or looking for promotions or looking for the best deal. And it's kind of an obvious thing, but it also goes under like don't purchase things that you don't need to. Like if your laptop's, a little bit slow, but you have like $5,000 in your bank account and you go and spend like two on a laptop, then that's not affordable, That's like 40% of your entire bank account. And I know so many people who do that. They're like, oh, I have $5,000, like I can afford this laptop. No, you don't even have enough money for an emergency fund. Like, why are you buying a new laptop, especially if it hasn't died? If you have to upgrade your laptop, go for something more reasonable. So another thing is you need to keep your fixed costs as low as possible. By fixed costs, I mean rent, bills, everything that you pay on a weekly or a monthly basis, even if that's subscriptions, right? So if you have to move out of your parents, you're still in your late 20s and you're in that stage where you have to move out, I'd always recommend staying with your parents as long as possible, because that rent is the biggest number that obviously adds up that you could be putting in your savings, or giving a bit to your parents, putting the rest in your savings, stuff like that. If you get on with your parents, stay, because that's a huge money saver. It helped me. And yeah, but if you do have to move out, basically go to a house and share with people to save rent. And also for like electric, internet, phone bills, check you're getting the best deal. Like, do you need unlimited data? Like, why are you paying $80 a month for unlimited data if you don't really need it? Could you get on a more reasonable plan? Check your usage every month. It's same with internet. Find the best deal. It's easy to find on the internet now, especially with subscriptions, right? Like, are you paying for subscriptions you don't even use anymore? Do you have all the streaming service subscriptions but you only watch Netflix? Review these things very regularly so you know that like you're not getting that $30 charge out of your account that you could have just cancelled. Like, it's these small things add up so much. Like, say you have 3 subscriptions you don't need, that's like $100 a month, $1,200 a year. It really does add up fast. Another one is get an affordable car. If you do drive a car and you live somewhere where you can drive, get something affordable, get something that you can potentially pay all up front. Try not to get it on a lease or a loan, because these interest rates are not reasonable. Like, they are so high and you pay so much extra just to pay the car off. Like, if you can save up and buy the car up front, don't buy something that's out of your means. A huge thing, as good as they make these deals with these car leases, it's generally never worth it. Another thing would be tracking every expense. So you should look at your bank account every couple of days, just make sure that everything you're purchasing you've actually paid for. Like, keep a regular monitor on that. Just make sure that, like, if you keep looking at it, it will make you probably want to spend a bit less as well. People just don't look, and they look at the end of the month, or they look when their car gets declined, stuff like that. Just pay attention to that. And under this as well, I do a monthly net worth spreadsheet just with all my assets, and I calculate like how much I'm up or down, and that's like investment income changes, all of that stuff. It's good to do that every month. Hold yourself accountable. The next would be automate savings and investing. So every month you should have, whatever, it depends when you get paid, right? Like, if you're still working a job, when you get paid, or even if you're not working or working freelance, every time you get paid, pay yourself first. It's an obvious one. Have an automatic payment, or just pay yourself a certain percentage of the amount of money that you earn. So you earn $1,000, you want to pay yourself 30% into savings. Transfer the $300 into either investment or savings account, and do that first before you look at any other expenses. Obviously you have to figure out how much you can afford to save, things like that, but make that the priority. Don't withdraw out of your savings account unless it's an emergency. And if you don't invest, like, that's something that you should look into. I can't give any investing advice, but I've been investing since 2019. Always just regular investments every month. as I'm now living off savings and a bit of side hustle money. My investment per month is less, but I'm still doing something, a monthly contribution to an account, and it definitely adds up over time, and it's just something extra to have. So next would just be unnecessary spending. You know, things like meal prep at home. So when you're too lazy to cook, you just have something to put in the oven and put in the microwave and heat up. Also, under this unnecessary spending, don't use a credit card because you don't have enough money in your bank account to buy something unless it's an emergency. Credit cards should only really be used if you're getting something from the credit card company, such as points. Like you can sign up to these cards, you can spend like $3 grand on the card, and then they'll give you like air miles or something like that. So that's the only reason you should really use credit cards. Obviously pay the bill every single month so you don't pay any interest. It's like 20%, not good. If you don't have a credit card that gives you anything, look for ones that do, because there's a lot of deals. I have paid for multiple flights with credit cards that, you know, have cost me nothing, just spending money that I would have spent anyway on this card. And next is learn to say no. It's always tempting when your friends invite you to maybe a more expensive activity, getting cocktails, going to an activity like bowling, something like that. Something that's super expensive. Learn to say no. I'm not saying don't be social, but just think about like what your goals are, what your long-term goals are, and does it align with that? Or just suggest something cheaper. And these things, like, you'd be surprised as to how fast these $20, $30, $40 expenses add up. And if you put that in money in your extra, like in your savings account, by the time you know it, you'll have 10 grand. And I'm talking about Australian dollars, right? Like probably 7 grand US dollars. You can move to Thailand. You can give yourself 6 months. You can try something. Like if you really want, like if something you're really considering, you can save up that money real fast with just these like small things that you change in your daily habits. Another one is make use of apps and saving methods. So like lots of apps have, you know, voucher codes, deals. Like I can think from the top of my head, like I used to always use the McDonald's app all the time. Like when people would go up to the kiosk and order like a full-on meal on McDonald's, I'd be like, what are you doing? You could have just used the app and got like something exactly the same or similar for 40% of the price. And these apps generally, like for companies, they want you to download it because then they can track your data or whatever, but they have discounts and you can find these things. So just make sure if you're buying something, is there an app? If you're going into like fast food or like a clothes store, sometimes there's points. All of these things you can utilize to save these like small amounts, like 30, 40, $50. So these are the things that I've come up with today, and I'm sure there's more, but these are the things that I came up with earlier when I was thinking of this video idea. If I have more, then I'll make a future video, so feel free to subscribe if you like tips like this, because I will make more financial related tips because I love that stuff. And I spoke about, you know, lifestyle inflation and stuff, and some people are like, oh, why I'm making more, why can't I spend more? For me personally, like I don't get a huge amount of satisfaction with material stuff, so it's easier for me. But if you convince your brain that you don't need the things somehow, then you don't, and you can live perfectly happy, and you have more security, you have more money in your account, and you have more freedom, and you're investing in yourself long term. If you want to keep working and continue like living paycheck to paycheck or with like under 10 grand in your bank account, then it's fine. Like don't do any of this stuff. But these things really do work, and they sound simple, or maybe you've heard them before, but trust me, like if you start employing them, it'll make a real difference. So I'm making a video every single day, and at the end of the video I give some updates as to what I've done today. Today I was speaking to a friend about front-end development on my website, so I was working through some ideas with him, so I might make some upgrades and changes to my website. And I did a little bit of my front-end development course as well for a couple of hours, worked out, and just watched some leisure and had some TV time. So it was a semi-productive day today. I got some work done, and I'm always getting some sort of work done no matter what, but Wednesday, Thursday are weekend days, so it's going to be more relaxed, doing some fun activities and some things I wouldn't usually be doing in my disciplined week. So if you enjoyed the video, I make one every day, as I said, so I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks.